All right, let's do it live on a First Friday Miracle edition of the program. Merely Beau and the Great Z. How you doing, buddy?
Wonderful to be with you, as always, on a First Friday.
First Friday? You've been doing that lately. I like it, how you eliminate the A's.
Yeah,
all the,
it's from,
all the
it's
names.
courty of the Big Daddy, Scotty Monaco. He likes that.
S. Monaco dropping
yeah,
that.
Oh, yeah. He loves a Thursday.
Thursday?
Yeah, and a Friday.
Yeah, that's good. And earlier this week you were doing coaches speaking in the kids' diction.
That's
so
right.
you had that, and now you have Monaco on the
A lot of tools
Ds.
in the tool belt here.
There's a lot there.
A lot of tools in the tool belt. We got to listen. We're in the off season now.
Brother,
the season
long
didn't go
off-season.
the way we wanted it to. We have a long off season. We've got to still be. We're still in post-mortem phase before we can get back into how do we fix this and get in. Now we're back. We're back on the hope train. Choo choo. Let's go.
You said something. I can't remember if it was yesterday's show or Monday's show where you always think of, all right, so you get to September, but then you said something. You actually put a numerical month count on that. And you said 9 months.
Yeah.
And then that hits, and you go, my God, that's a long time, because the season will go until the middle of February.
I think it's only 8 months. That's what I'm going to call it 8 months.
8
right?
months. That's fine. You're safe.
This is the 9th month.
There you go. So,
AB said 9. I said 8. He's smarter than I, so maybe I'll go with him. But I feel like if
he's one of the few guys who can out private school you. There aren't many.
He can, though, without question. But I think if
Not
you're
many.
going from January to February, that's month 1, right? That's 1 month.
I don't
February
know
to
what
March
to
is
do
2.
with that. I don't know what
March
to do
to
with
April would be 3. April and May 4. And as you see, it's 1 under, so it's 8. 8 to September.
I
Only
like
8
it.
months, guys. 240 days.
Be here right before
we're ready. Is it tomorrow?
You know, the crazy thing is it will be here like that.
Of course.
It's going to be here. Like, you're going to be out at the CCMC at training camp here in no time, ready to go.
Back in the sun, ready, fun, full of optimism and hope and joy.
If you could fast forward to any day in the calendar right now, where would you go to?
I'm going to fast forward to the day that we select Cinco in the draft.
I don't even like that you did that. I don't even like that you identified a number. I'm worried about that.
But
There's been a lot of people.
Was Dos Unos, doesn't he have to be just?
Well, we didn't end up with Dos Unos.
Plain
It worked out
Cinco?
okay, but I mean, like, I'm trying to.
We didn't get Grant Delpit though.
Yeah, the double deuce, which is exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just I'm a little worried about how excited I am and how much I'm dialed into that.
Jameson
I
Williams
just don't.
injury was a big
blow
to our chances.
Yeah, because someone could have talked themselves into that.
Is there another?
I still would have preferred,
of course,
he who should not be named. But I think people could have talked into JMO, because JMO is going to run probably 4.29, 4.32.
What if I just do remember King Kong Bundy when he was in his dominant run and he wasn't satisfied with just a 3 count? He'd say 5.
Yeah,
He'd
like
want a
that.
5 count.
I like that.
So we'll just go 5.
That wasn't enough. Just that. Yeah. I like it.
Okay. All right.
I had an interesting. I want to run something by you from for your approval. So last night, as you know, I don't let the boys beat me at anything. I beat them at everything, no matter if it's a board game, chess, anything. I beat them. I will never let
100%.
them win ever at anything. They sadly, they can beat me at golf. That happened last year, not over a course of 9, but on a hole they can beat me. They have, but that's not a sport in my wheelhouse. So last night, Beamsy, my 8-year-old, is at the Papa Shot getting some shots up, and I said, "Hey, let's you want to give it a go here, right?" So he goes, "Yeah, just a second." And I went, "Okay." And then he goes, "Okay, I'm ready." So he set it up. It was on a 30-second count, right? So he's got balls in front of him. I got balls in front of me, and away we go. Tick, 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 go. We know Papa Shot. So we
Great
start.
game.
It's fantastic. It's so great.
What's your form? If you could describe your form.
I go
to me.
both hands. I'm ambidextrous. I'm just grabbing as many balls, getting the shots up as quickly as I can.
Are you shooting them?
Flicking?
Flicking.
Yeah.
So I have a formula.
You go like this?
I kind of just.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of like that, I guess. I mean, I guess that's the I kind
I'm
of go.
just kind of pushing it up in the
Yeah,
air.
it's kind of a backward. Yeah, but I use both hands.
No, I don't do that.
Yeah, I get as many
This
as
is a feeder hand, and then it's just.
Oh, it feeds into it. Yeah, I just grab and shoot. I grab them with both hands and shoot.
Okay. All right.
So, the game starts. He makes like his first 5, so it's 10-2 early because I missed a couple. I hadn't played
And
on the Papa Shot, and
There's
I'm
no
going
way your percentage
doing all these things. Probably not.
despite being.
But I'm still thinking like, well, I clearly have enough time. So I almost catch up, but he ends up beating me. He beats me like 30. He ended up with like 30. I think it was like 30-22 or something like that was the victory. It was a sizable victory. And the look on his face was
pure
astonishment, like that this has happened. I'd beaten Dad. I'm a victor. He's the loser, so forth. But then I noticed something else in his face. And remember, he is the one. He's Abe Lincoln. Like that's his act, right? The other two, John Wilkes Booth. He's Abe Lincoln. So I start to look around and I noticed something, and I didn't even think about it in the time that I was shooting, but then I noticed it.
His points were more than yours?
No. Close, though. The way he set it up, there were probably 12 balls in the rotation. He had 5 semi-flat balls on his side. Well, those go in all the time.
Deflate gate. Part 2.
I couldn't even be mad. I was almost impressed with the deceit.
Yeah, I think that now what you need to say, we need to have the balls all need to be inflated. We need to I think you should bring down.
I told him, I said, your victory's tainted.
It is tainted.
It's a tainted victory. You cheated.
Want a tainted victory.
What do you want?
No, you're right about that. I think what you have to do now is bring a pump down, pump every ball to equal inflation right in front of his face while you're staring at him the entire time.
Really, really that is
and
good.
then he gets 6 balls.
Like if I have a pressure gauge, so they're all 8.2 pounds, every single one.
He gets 6,
and then
you get 6, and you say,
huh, interesting.
Let's see what happens now.
Yeah.
And if he pulls it out then, he gets victory. He can moonwalk all around your house. He's the king of the castle.
He was king of the castle. It was good. I had to tip your hat.
Did he debate?
No, he just
assertion?
ran. He ran. Like he wanted no part of any sort of dialogue or argument. Like as soon as he won, he celebrated as if he had won the national championship. Confetti falls, going nuts. And I didn't even think about it because it all happened so quick. I didn't even think about it.
Jim Gray with a real point.
And then I came back in. I went, well, wait a second. What was going on here? And then upon review, he had his first 5 shots were all with deflated balls.
And then he just runs.
And then he just takes off giggling, running. It was amazing.
Did he go and brag about this to his brothers, who then also
oh my
gave
God
you grief?
Of course and then the oldest was upset because he hasn't beat me at anything. So he's like, well, why'd you let him win? Like thinking that it was some sort of collusion that I'd let him win for no. I mean it was deceit, but he did win legitimately amidst a lie.
Yeah. Listen, so, I think now you need to.
I think you have it. That's what you do. You take the pressure gauge, and you. I like that. Yeah.
Just pump that ball.
Yeah. Let's see how this goes.
Yeah.
Tonight, Beamsy.
I'm curious. I'd like to have this live streamed to me personally. This sounds like must.
He is the perfect height for it because he shoots his normal shot, so he really is the perfect. Like there's no bending. It's perfect. It fits right into his chest, and he just.
Was Bootsy going around asking him what's the? Because you could have probably gotten Bootsy on your side as like an investigative reporter and said,
no,
what's the real truth?
No,
were these balls inflated? What's the real truth?
He would be in cahoots with Beamsy. They would go in. They would walk hand in hand into the deceit. Now that Beamsy's turned, honestly, I don't know where to go from here because he was the last chance for honesty,
for purity.
Yeah, it's gone now. Hey, we have a schedule for 2022.
Opponents.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, opponents. Yeah. Sorry. So your home schedule: Ravens, Bengals,
Pukers.
I
mean, this is what he still writes.
And yet, Puke, Squealers.
Over-unders.
He picked them.
Everything he picked was pro Steelers.
Pro Steelers, yeah. And yet, Squealers, Pukers, Pitts Puke.
That gave you the lead. Your love for the Steelers propelled you to what felt like a victory.
Yeah.
We tried to make it a certain victory, and you rejected that. Like Ostertag at the peak of his defensive powers.
I will screw this up on my own. I don't need any of your help.
So the
only thing I don't like about sitting here while you were at home and I was in that chair is that you have like that's all you have to do to see Gibbe. I'm over here like.
Well, and I think you could go back to again, this is his mastermind studio design.
I was waiting for that.
But
because in the old setup, we both could because you were here.
Yeah, it was
and I was still here, but you were here.
Yeah.
And so then we both could. Yeah. The way this is set up now, not
Not so much.
I need like a mirror right here, just so I can give it.
You
like,
need a rear. I'm going to get you a rear view mirror.
Yeah,
for
that's
the,
what I
for
need.
From
your
the
laptop.
ceiling,
Yeah,
drop
hang
a
it-
rear
hang
view.
it right
I'm
down
just
from the
gonna-
ceiling and just a little rear view mirror right here, so like a Gibbe mirror.
That's it.
Make some eye contact.
Or you could take this desk and invert it. And then
What a novel concept.
I'm there, you're here.
Well, I
and
just
then we
think it
both.
makes sense for this desk to
Then we
be
could watch
back
TV
to
too.
being a triangle anyway.
Well, tell the man who designed it.
What was the thought process, Gibbe, in eliminating the triangle of the desk? Because with the triangle situation, you had 3 sides, hence
Yeah, and then you could have a
Triangle.
true round robin.
you could have a
would
real
never
round
have
table.
this.
You could have 6 people around that
Yeah.
table having a great conversation.
We
What if
did
we did
with
that?
Deke and
I know.
and Jimmy. We did that with them.
then
With
now-
several others, we've done that.
Now it's like,
Mr.
well, you
Dog.
scoot over
What would
here.
happen if we had Mr. Dog on in this setup?
He would be right next to you, like
Right.
Gribble's going to be at 1:30.
Like this, instead of in the old world, we all got to be by Mr. Dog.
All right, guy. Brandon Lynch, what a human.
What a human. What a
Jeez.
human.
Guy's never had a bad day.
Never.
Nicest guy. Might be the nicest guy on the planet.
So bold. I mean, we've had a lot of those guys come through this building. You going to say he's nicer than Cole?
Wow.
different?
Okay, but
Oh.
you said nicest guy on the planet. Like,
There's-
there's a lot of really nice guys.
I've never heard him say a bad word about anybody or even bust anybody's chops. Like I'm
Oh,
talking
just that kind,
just-
like super kind.
pure as the
Okay.
driven snow.
I like it.
Like there's some deviousness to Cole, which is he's a little bit of a rapscallion, which is why
Oh
we
yeah,
love him.
for sure. There's no doubt. It's a shame we didn't get to meet Cole the older a little more.
Brief. It was brief.
Brief. Yeah.
Brief.
All right. So back to the schedule.
Yeah.
The divisional opponents
We
we
just
know.
got 5 minutes out of nonsense because you said the word pukers and it somehow got back
Back
to
to
Gibbe,
that.
and then here we go.
This is
This is the show.
bees. This is the show. So Chargers, Patriots, Saints, Jets, Bucks coming here. Falcons, Bills, Panthers, Texans, Dolphins. Football team going there. Obviously, the home schedule far more difficult than the road, I would say, based on what we know now.
Significantly so.
What would you of
Playoff
these
team, playoff
teams?
team, just missed playoff team.
Of
just
these
missed,
teams-
just missed playoff team.
Which do you think will be based on just absolutely nothing other than been around the league a long time? Based on this, go out on a limb here 8 months away. Which of these teams do you think will be better than we think they are now, and which of these teams do you think will be worse than we think they are now? Best chance to be better when we play them 8 months from now. Makes sense?
Yeah, I
Versus
got you.
worse.
All right. So the teams that I believe that will be better 1 year from now: the Ravens, the Chargers, the Saints. Worse than they are currently.
Bengals, right? Bengals will be better. Another
Bengals will be
draft
better,
for
but they're
Burrow.
already
Yeah,
the
that's true.
division
They're already-
champions.
Yeah, right.
Worse will be the Pukers,
Yep.
as Gibbe calls them. I call them the Steelers. I have
Right.
respect for what they've done as an organization, even though I don't like it. The Falcons will be worse. The Texans will be probably the same or worse. The Dolphins could also be better. A lot of it depends on what happens at the quarterback situation.
So
for some
yeah,
of these
because
teams.
Carolina and Miami were both in on Watson.
Right.
Those would be the two places that if they were either one were to land him would be demonstratively better.
Well, right now, here are the questions that are on our schedule. We don't know who is going to be playing quarterback for Pittsburgh. We don't know who's going to be playing quarterback for the Saints.
Right.
We don't know who's going to be playing quarterback for the Falcons. I think we don't know anyway. We know who's going to be playing quarterback for the Panthers, the Texans, the Dolphins, or the football team.
That's a lot of quarterbacks, man. Right?
Yeah. I mean, So this year, clearly, we have the AFC East and we have the NFC South.
Mm-hmm. Who knows with Brady, too? I mean, if he wins another one, does he walk?
Matching up with the Chargers in third, by the way, that's a tough.
Less than ideal.
Draw. Yeah, you'd
less than
enjoy the
ideal.
Broncos for like the 38th year in a row.
Yeah. Well, we played the Raiders in back-to-back years.
Yeah. Yeah, it's less than ideal. You're right with Brady. If he wins another one, could he walk? I don't know though. I just feel like he's like, why wouldn't I win again?
It does seem that way.
Like he could have walked right. If he was going to walk,
He could walk. He could have walked for the last 5 years.
I would
But
say
he
you go down
continues
to you leave Belichick, you
Right.
go to Tampa, you win the Super Bowl
You hit
in
a
your
walk-off.
first year there.
Yeah.
You have one of the greatest, the greatest Super Bowl parade party, whatever that was.
the boat
on
parade.
record.
Yeah, I think you have that too. Yeah. Yeah, I mean that. Yeah, you just
They're
don't know.
throwing the Lombardi around over a body of water where
Yeah.
pretty sure it sinks rapidly.
Rapidly.
Gone.
Yeah, it'd be gone. Yep.
Not.
Don't know how
still
deep
around.
that channel is, but yeah.
I mean, we're talking scuba gear and
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I would think.
Unbelievable ability to see underwater.
Yeah. Facts. Yep. Well, I don't know. Yeah.
That was a walk-off, if there was ever a walk-off.
That was the one to walk off.
That was it.
Yeah. The Chargers will be I think the Chargers will be one of the favorites in the AFC. The Bills will be one of the favorites in the AFC. The Ravens and Bengals will be among them. I think we will be among them if Andrew Berry has the type of offseason he typically has. I think the biggest questions are the Saints. I think to me the Saints have the biggest chance to be like if they get quarterback set up, they have everything else. Like to me, they have the best chance to go from a team that was surprisingly on the cusp to really good in the NFC in a hurry. It's just can they land the quarterback?
Yeah,
and I don't know what they're going to do there. There's not a lot of options.
I mean, I know it hasn't been bandied about much, but I mean, if they get Michael Thomas back, supposedly,
right.
I mean, the guy hasn't played football in like 2 years.
I know. After all the cash.
But if you're Russ,
well, and weren't they on his list?
Why isn't? Yeah, they were. Why isn't Sean Payton a desirable place to go?
Well, I think
good defense, Kamara,
right? Fun town.
Thomas coming back.
Fun town. Good eats.
Fun town.
Good music scene for your wife who's a musician.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I would love for him to go there. That would be a great spot for him to get him out of here. We don't need him in the AFC.
Sure.
That's a very desirable location there.
It is.
Real quick on the football team. So they're going to do their name in what, like 2 weeks? 3 weeks they're doing their name? What do you got? What do you think they're doing?
Then isn't it like admirals or something like that?
Well, I think they have it down to like admirals, diplomats, and generals or something.
Why can't they just stay as the Washington football team?
I kind of like it.
I think it's tough to sell. I think it's tough to sell to kids.
Yeah.
Like you want to be able to sell.
Football team.
Yeah, football team's a tough sell.
I think it should be the Red Hogs. I'm going to keep saying that, and hopefully they'll
There's
listen.
already the Miami Red Hogs.
Hogs. H-O. Well, I guess what were they? H-A-W?
H-O-G-S.
H-O-G-S.
The Hogs.
Yeah,
Red Hogs.
Got to have a little bit of that.
I think that's pretty sweet. And they were called, they were the Hogs and all that with Gibbs. I mean, it makes a lot of sense.
It makes perfect sense.
Who does it? There's nobody other than Arkansas. No one has used an aggressive pig in any sort of marketing or branding.
Mm-mm.
I like that. Yeah. Especially since, there was talk of red tails.
Right.
And which would have been really cool. And then Red Wolves apparently is what everybody in that area wanted. And they said, no, we're good. We're not going to do that.
I think the Red Hogs is great because it ties into their history. You could have probably a pretty cool logo.
Yeah, and you basically have obviously they're going to keep the colors the same. So you can the uniforms are pretty classic.
Because you could do the logo could actually be like the pig in the helmet inside the helmet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, which would be great. Yeah, it would be good.
Like that's what the fans used to wear. They'd wear like a pig.
Right. Do you think how many of our audience that is under the age of 32 is aware of the Hogs with Washington?
I mean, you guys don't know about Russ Grimm?
Jim Lachey?
Russ Grimm? Was there a Jacoby?
Joe Jacoby?
Joe Jacoby, sure.
Who's in the mix? Yeah.
We just got 3 of them.
Well, I know you and I did, but I mean, like the kids, how many people are aware
rooting for the Bears.
of that? Yeah. They won 3 Super Bowls with Gibbs with 3 different quarterbacks. Pretty remarkable when you think about it.
Let me see if I can name them.
Go ahead.
Theismann.
Yep.
Doug Williams.
Yep.
Rippon.
Yep.
Rippon won a Super Bowl.
Rippon won a Super Bowl and an MVP. Wow. Mark Rippon was the MVP of the league. But yeah, three Super Bowls, 3 different quarterbacks, 1 Darryl Green.
Could have been 4 if Gus Frerotte had not headbutted himself.
Yes.
He was really hot right there.
He did have a hot run there.
Oh,
yeah.
God, it was great.
They had Jay Schrader at one point on that
Former
squad.
Raider quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, this news: the Browns lose one of the assistant D line coach Jeremy Garrett headed to the college ranks. Per Bruce Feldman of the Athletic, he will go to Liberty as a defensive line coach. So there is that.
Jeremy Garrett had a good run here. He was liked in the defensive line room. He had a game where he filled in as the defensive line coach for Chris Kiffin when he was on the COVID list. The players responded to him in that game. He's very well liked. This is a nice opportunity for him. So congratulations to Coach Garrett.
All right, good stuff there. Lots to get to today, including Gribbs coming up in about 10 minutes or so. We'll go around the league coming up next. Off and running on a First Friday. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. EOX Vantage, local presence, global footprint, trusted by some of the world's biggest brands. Here's a testimonial from EOX Vantage client Ed Scheel. He's a vice president, Skyward Specialty Insurance. The tools we've designed with EOX Vantage are real business changers that open the door to us for all sorts of valuable opportunities and efficiencies. They help our team members stay on the same page while collaborating remotely, make it easy to communicate with customers, cut way down on manual data entry and the associated input errors, and cut hours off processes and response times. Operationally, it's a brand new ballgame for us, and it can be for you too. I encourage you to learn more about EOX Vantage by visiting www.eoxvantage.com or call 216-298-1616. The Giants fired Joe Judge yesterday afternoon after we got off the air. So that is both a head coach and general manager position that is now opening. I am convinced that this happened for two reasons. Number one, the amount of pushback from the media, social media, everybody, that the fact that they were keeping him and the way that it ended. Even the stuff with Aaron Rodgers on McAfee. You saw that?
I did not. About Joe Judge?
About the call. You've seen the call, 3rd and 9, where he ran a quarterback sneak?
Yes.
So Rodgers goes on this thing on McAfee about it, and he says some of the effect of, if Matt, you send that play in for me, get that BS out of here. Yeah, is what he says. Get that out of here. Like, we're not running that.
Of course.
So there's been a dog piling on of some of the incompetencies down the stretch for Joe Judge, and then I also too wonder if the exit interviews in New York with the players helped in this.
I can't imagine that they did. It felt like he was not well liked by the locker room, and I can tell you, just being here in training camp after that day where the Browns got the better of them in the joint practices, and then he had those guys running sprints, all of them after. I'm like, this doesn't fly in the league.
Yeah.
The tough guy craziness. He had guys come in for one day and retire and be like, no way am I doing this. That doesn't work unless you're winning. The second that you are not winning, nobody has any time for it. These guys are professionals. They know what those.
Oh, you do?
They know what these environments are supposed to be like and what they're willing to deal with. And because Gibbe is such a huge P, he heard us talking about Rodgers. He's got the clip. Let's play it.
Play to win the game. I don't know. Nobody wants to be a part of that. You want to get the playoffs, of course. Nobody wants to be a part of, like, kneeling the shit out to take a tie. I would lose my mind. You know what would make me lose my mind almost as much as that? 3rd and 9 on the -5. Oh. Let's go in goal line personnel and run a QB sneak.
Yeah, you would call timeout there. We'd audible.
Call that one in, Matt, and let's see what happens.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I think I said this yesterday on the show. Like, has anyone won more this year than him, Rodgers? Like, and then the McAfee, the fact that he uses McAfee as this. Like, I don't know anybody who likes, and I know certainly Pat's done incredible. He's hilarious, all of that. But those clips, that's the stuff that goes viral every week from McAfee. Yeah, it's the Rodgers.
They made a ton of
$160 million or whatever they got.
Ton of dough,
right?
And they're having a great time, and he's fantastic at it. And
yeah, he's the best. But I mean those clips, like that, the fact that he's used that as his outlet now for a couple of seasons, I think. Ostensibly because A.J. Hawk was on it, and that's what got the relationship with McAfee, and that's how it all came in.
And McAfee made, I think, a smart decision in terms of protecting the golden goose. When Rodgers got himself in a little bit of trouble with all the vaccination stuff and immunized and all that, and he provided a pretty safe space for Rodgers that would make him want to come. He didn't ask him any hard questions. He kind of let him have his forum, which is absolutely his right to do so. And it's been fascinating. I mean, where else do you get this? A quarterback that's playing as well as anybody in the league every week comes and sits down and talks freely.
Completely unobstructed. Yeah.
Not in platitudes, not in, coach speak or quarterback speak. He comes out and speaks his mind. It's refreshing. And I do think that, we are at a point where what's sad about it, just quick aside, it feels like in society today, everybody is like, it's this extreme, it's this extreme. There's no middle. There's no.
Yeah.
I like that Rodgers, I don't necessarily agree with some of the things that he said, but I like that he feels comfortable saying it, that it's out there. And he's like, look, let's just at least talk about it. That's been his whole thing. You don't have to agree with me.
Yeah.
But why can't we have conversations anymore about differing viewpoints?
Well, and that goes back to his beef with the Packers.
Totally.
Why not talk to me?
Just talk to me.
Been here a long time. Why not talk to me about what we're going to do in the first round?
Yeah.
I mean, I think just give me a little bit of voice, and then and that's all I'm asking for. So, I mean, I think all of that leads to what happened with Joe Judge, and that was
No doubt.
another part of it. And so that's another. There's now 3 gigs: Minnesota, Chicago, and the Giants, where coach and GM are both needing to be filled. Did you see this news today about Eric Weddle?
I did.
This is fascinating. So Jordan Fuller, former Ohio State player who was a steal for the Rams. I want to say he was like a 6th-round pick for them. He's now one of their captains.
Yep.
Started right away. So he's done for the year, sadly. So they bring in Eric Weddle, who's back. Hasn't played since 19. He's 37.
They must feel like he knows the D. He can get out there. But, I mean, speed at that point in his career when he was done was becoming a problem. And he's going to get tested. The Cardinals are going to test him if he's playing.
I mean, my gosh, could he really be counted on to play?
I don't know.
Almost seems impossible.
It almost feels like he's being brought to be like another coach for this young guy that's going
to help some young guy know where he needs to be for a week and be in his ear. It seems strange.
I can't imagine that he would have kept himself in the kind of condition. Now, maybe he did, but like the Hoff's in phenomenal condition.
Right.
The Hoff, I think, would be the first to tell you it'd be tough to come back in today and play Sunday or in a playoff game.
Well, training speed versus NFL playoff game speed is a totally
at least the Hoff's operating in a small spot where technique matters more. You're talking about being a free safety.
Right.
Reading, running, reacting.
Against Kyler.
Right.
We told you yesterday about a couple of our current front office guys who the Bears requested permission to interview. One of our former front office guys as well, Elliot Wolf, getting an interview with the Bears for their general manager position there. I liked Elliot a lot when he was here. Good dude. And him getting a shot there in Chicago. Of course, his dad ran the Packers to great success for a very, very long time, and that would be something if he ended up in Chicago when his dad is obviously most famous for what he did in Green Bay. Amazon Prime targeting former running back Marshawn Lynch to serve as feature reporter and analyst for Thursday Night Football package. Thursday Night Football goes to Amazon. That's next year?
So I got a couple things. One, real quick on the Bears, they are raiding this building or former people in this building. Talk about Kwesi, Glenn Cook, and now Elliot Wolf.
I'll tell you, and obviously the previous regime no longer here, and we love the regime we have, but we really had 2 really good regimes when it comes to identifying and drafting players.
No doubt.
And free agency and all of that. And so and good people. I mean, Elliot was a great dude and
great guy.
And, Zoe and all those guys.
Yeah.
So it's been a good run, and that tells you that you're hiring the right people, that there's this type of interest.
And then number 2, now we're talking about Amazon Prime. It's with mixed emotions that we talk about this, because my favorite football show is Thursday nights with the Hoff, Steve Smith, Irv, and Colleen Wolfe. Is that? I'm guessing if it's not on NFL Network, that's maybe the end of that show. Yeah.
I don't know. Is this on Prime and NFL Network? Do you know, Gibby, or is it just Amazon streaming exclusive?
It might be going exclusive to Amazon.
Yeah, I don't know. I would assume that the NFL Network. I mean, wouldn't the NFL Network? What's the NFL Network going to do then? They're not going to have games. They have to have some games.
Looking, I know that like Fox will no longer.
They won't provide the talent.
That's the rumor is Al Michaels is going to leave NBC and go do Thursday Night Football.
I don't know how if you're Al Michaels. I mean, I guess for money, everybody needs more money. You got Matt Damon's doing crypto ads, so I mean everybody needs more money. But the idea of like Al Michaels going from Sunday Night Football to Thursday night streaming on Amazon Prime seems crazy to me at his tenure.
It sure does. It sure does. I'm just saying, we need to have that show is just the best.
It says in March, Amazon signed a 10-year deal with the NFL to stream 15 games per season on its Prime Video platform.
Exclusively, or
to get exclusive NFL rights.
Well, then it wouldn't be on NFL Network. So I don't know what would happen to that show.
The average annual rights fee is about $1.2 billion, and the price tag for the additional season.
Okay, so that tells you that it won't be dual cast on NFL Network. I hope the NFL Network keeps doing that show, though, or I hope they find another home for it in another spot, because
it's just the best football show that there is.
It is.
I feel like it could still be on NFL Network.
This is what I think. I'm thinking it's streaming,
rights
and
holder Fox agreed to exit its existing deal for the package a season early. So this could be Amazon and NFL Network.
I believe that it is then. I think that makes sense.
So.
That it's an Amazon Prime streaming and it's NFL Network, terrestrial television would be NFL Network. and then streaming would be Amazon Prime.
Like,
and it'll
why
be up
would
to
you
which
give
way
it up?
You want to do
because I know you guys have all seen this today, and it really is amazing to think that it was not too long ago that people were saying, the NFL is dying and crumbling, and nobody cares about the ratings and this, that, and the end. Nobody's watching this anymore. It's a bad sport, yada, yada. I could go on and on. Did you guys see the numbers about the ratings this year for pro football, for the National Football League?
I mean, I know they're astronomical, but I did not see specifically what you're talking
about.
It
averaged this year a 17.1. 17.1. Which is up. It's the highest since 2015. And 91 of the 100 most viewed programs in the last year. Programs, everything.
Yeah.
91 of the 100 most watched programs of the year were NFL games.
So this article in the Wall Street Journal says the games Amazon streams will only be available on TV in the local markets of the two teams playing.
Okay, so then that's a punt. So then the NFL Network wouldn't be, and then I think Joe's show would go away at that point.
It said Amazon previously had streaming rights for Thursday Night Football, while TV rights were shared by Fox and the league's NFL Network.
So the NFL Network is not going to have games anymore.
I guess not, which is...
Boy, that's tough. I think that's a tough one, man.
Wow.
Now you're making me sad.
Have games on your host network, your home network.
I mean, I think at least what you would do is you would say that NFL Network will... that would be the terrestrial home for it. I'm shocked by that.
It must have been.
Well, he told you the money. It was $1.2 billion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big.
That's big.
That's
is big.
Huge.
Yeah.
B does
the
stand
previous
for big.
deal, Fox was $660 million. So you basically doubled it.
The only way that you can do the Hoffs show that they do is in prime time. You can't do that show Sunday morning. It has to be at night.
No.
It has to be leading into. It has to be in the venue.
From that venue.
It's the closest thing to college game day that we have in the NFL. Is what it really is. It's the only one that gets the atmosphere. It's the only other. You can either do it still for the Thursday night streaming, and this, Amazon's paying you a lot of money, so maybe you could, or you'd have to do it for Monday Night Football. Those are really the only two windows.
Here's the thing. There's in this note about Marshawn Lynch, it's saying Lynch will be part of a more relaxed studio show, which does not make you think that it's going to be going on the road, right?
That could be semantics.
Could be semantics.
Yeah.
But that would be, it's the finest show there is. By the way, the ratings this year up 10% from last year, and fans consumed 370 billion total minutes of the National Football League through 2021. That is up 18%.
Well, that's how you go from $660 million on a rights deal to $1.2 billion. That's how all that happens. Gribbs will join us next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. OBM, Ohio Business Machine, preferred copier provider, your Cleveland Browns of all the X's and O's for your office. Call 216-485-2000 or visit ohiobusinessmachines.com. And with that, we're joined in studio by our great friend, Sir Andrew Gribble, Brown Senior Staff Writer. Well, we had State of the State. It was certainly sooner than any of us wanted or had hoped for, and yet we had it. What did you make of what you heard from Coach Stefanski and then Andrew Berry yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, no surprises. I think it's disappointing for everyone. I think in you were kind of, with the way things were going and being up and down all year, it's almost like you were mentally preparing yourself for that possibility to exist at the end of the season, but also at the same time with the way this 17-game schedule worked, it seemed like hope was just around the corner every single week. You were still alive despite playing some not great football. And I think that there's a team or two in the playoffs that are in the playoffs who haven't played that great of football. Yeah. And I think that that's the reality of kind of the way this schedule's set up, but it doesn't make it any easier to stomach. Actually, I think it makes it harder to stomach when you see some of the teams that are in there and you maybe think of it, if we line up 10 times against this team, we could probably beat them more than 5. And I think that's what makes it frustrating. But ultimately, this is your fate, and you got to live with it, and you got to stew on it and be better next year. And I think that's the straightforward approach from a GM and coach. When you come off a disappointing year, you're going to say these things because these guys are coming back, and they know that this team can be better next year.
Yeah, and you played the Raiders ended up being the 5 seed when it was all said and done. So you ended up playing the team that was the 5 head-to-head, losing a heartbreaker, and you played the team that's the 7 seed twice. And went 0-2, and you flip those games, we're 100% in the playoffs, and that
you beat the 4 seed 41-16 at their place.
That's right. We swept them. Come on, we swept them in the Battle of Ohio.
Right? Yeah, but I mean,
since Burrow's arrived, they're 0-4 against us.
Yeah, it's crazy. Just a weird. No, but you just never would have thought you'd been here. Just such a strange.
It's
strange
unfortunate
place to be.
Yeah,
and it's crazy too because you look back at last year. Obviously, it was 16 game schedule, but the way the Browns played, I think, what was the best record, like 8-3 at one point, and you were sweating out the playoffs all the way to week 17. This year, you play like that, you were going to be golden down the stretch. I mean, that's the difference in years. The AFC just kind of took a dip and maybe just sort of cannibalized itself a little bit more than it did last year. I think the North and West going at each other this year, I think, was the issue. With that, but you had last year's team. You weren't going to be sweating it out. You might have been one of those teams resting guys the last week.
Yeah, and yet, like you said, they went at each other, and 4 of the 7 in the conference are the West and the North. It's crazy that we are not among them, but we're not. Speaking of those pressers, was there anything – these guys are not going to give away a lot. I think everybody who's a Browns fan now that has been here for the 2 years of their tenure understands the way that they are going to operate and they're going to do their business and conduct it. But was there anything that maybe raised your eyebrows a little bit or anything that stood out to you, I would say, in the midst of their very calculated style of talking?
I don't know about raised eyebrows, but I would say that a good thing to hear was when Andrew Berry was asked yesterday about the rookies that are going into their second season. I thought he almost was restrained in kind of how he would praise them because I think the top 2 especially have been outstanding. But I think that's a high bar that's being set. That to me tells me guys like Greg Newsome and JOK, those are foundational pieces of your defense. And I think that they are going to be elevated to even a higher level of importance going into year 2 because I think Andrew Berry was very clear that they have now things to work on, things to get better on, and they will be expected much more after 2 very good seasons. I mean, it's rare. I'm trying to remember, basically, was it 2018 and then before then, long ago, when you had 2 rookies playing at this high of a level for this team going into in a rookie season, especially on a roster that was as tough to crack as this one was for rookie players.
Yeah, and I think the thing that makes all of this even more, it's two-sided. On the one side, you say, okay, you had to fix the defense. You knew it. Andrew Berry fixed it.
You did.
In free agency, in the draft, he hit it as big as you can hit it out of the park. The defense became dynamic. It became a game-changing defense. It became a championship-level defense. The previous offseason, we got to protect Baker. So we get Conklin, you get Wills. We bring Hoop in here. We solidify the tight end position. Okay, we're ready to go. And now this offseason, and that's the thing that's so hard to wrap your head around is because the offense didn't come year to year. Like it didn't get better from the previous year. It didn't even stay the same where it was the year before. But the thing that you ought to have confidence in is that when Andrew Berry has had a box that needs to be checked in the offseason 2 years in a row, Gribbs, he's done it.
Yeah, and I think that there's a lot of focus, obviously, on the offense, but I think this is going to be an offseason of both because you look at your situation on offense, clearly you want to be better. And I think that there's going to be some change on that side of the ball to help improve that area. But defense, you've got to look at maintaining this level, and that's going to require making some decisions, because you're not rolling it all back like your offense last year. There's a lot of decisions to make. I mean, you mentioned Jadeveon Clowney. You've got questions at defensive tackle, linebacker. So this is going to be an offseason with both. I think that people obviously are getting focused on the offensive side, and understandably so, but there's just as many decisions, I think, to make on defense, because you want to stay a top 5 defense. You don't want this to be an aberration. You want this to be something you can bank on, so that when your offense gets back to what you think it can be, you can be at the level you thought you should have been this season.
Do you guys agree with this? So the 3 biggest priorities facing the Browns this offseason, right? Number 1, pass game. Getting that figured out, which encompasses everything that you have to do there, quarterbacks, receivers, all of that, getting that.
As you like to say, second's eighth, but
right.
then.
Correct.
Yeah.
Second, though, pretty solid. I think it's Clowney, just as a human. And then third would maybe be in long-term planning. How are you working out some of these contracts that are on either their last year with expiring money? Are you keeping them? Are you making decisions them extending Denzel Ward, the Chief, making sure the Chief stays here long-term? That's probably number 3, right? But 1 is way up at the top. 2 is then, I think, way separated from 3.
Well, it's Clowney and / I think you got to address overall pass rush. I think because if it's not him, if it doesn't go that way,
those go hand in hand, right?
You got to figure out some solutions, because then you obviously with Tack on the 1-year deal, and also with the Achilles, you've got to address that position even more. And I think even beyond that,
one more interior pass rusher, because I think Malik, you could tell, was battling through so many things at this stage in his career that I'm talking about Jackson, that you probably need to find somebody else in there to push the pocket a little bit. But those are, I think, 1 is massively number 1, 2 is massively number 2, and then 3. I mean, we could all split hairs here. You've mentioned linebackers a couple times. What's your thinking on that in terms of?
I just think you've got some decisions to make. I think was Walker brought on a 1 year, and so you've got JOK, obviously a foundational piece, but then it's just filling it in the rest. I think we've seen this defense what it can be, and it doesn't involve a ton of linebackers, but it also, your top 2 tacklers were linebackers on this team. You need that's an important position. So whether it's bringing Anthony Walker back or just addressing that, you're going to have to find some guys at that spot. I think Jacob Phillips clearly,
that's who they want.
I mean
there's no doubt.
Finished the second straight year. He's finished the regular season playing really well, but obviously the injury this year really hindered things. So you would expect him healthy and back. You got 2 great foundational core guys there with Jacob Phillips and JOK.
Yeah, and then Mack and Taki are role players still on their rookie deals that have very clearly defined roles, I think, in this defense.
But I think we've seen
then it comes
some
down
guys,
to Walker, right? Malcolm Smith, yeah.
It's obviously a position where we joked and laughed about. Oh my gosh, the Browns traded up for a linebacker, but this is a position where there are some of the best defensive players in the league are linebackers that are absolute game changers. If you can find one of those, that can help.
I think we have.
Yeah, you have one.
We
get another one. But add even more to that position.
And then the thing with from the pass game perspective, you want to put Baker in the best position to succeed. Weapons on the outside, certainly a hit. I mean, we've talked about it, a hit in the championship game on Monday, because Jamison Williams, if he wasn't the first receiver off the board, he was going to be the second. When you look the way that the draft order broke down, we're not doing a draft show yet, but we've talked a lot about how are we referring to him? 5. We've talked a lot about 5, and that's we won't. Don't say his name.
Well, I was saying Jamison Williams is now going to end up on an elite team with a late first-round pick to burn, and they're just going to.
I've already
a guy.
He's going to end up with the Rams. Well, the Rams end up. He's going to play like the Chiefs.
No,
something like that.
No. We're going to get 5, and then we're going to trade back in and pull a Jeffrey Simmons, and we're going to get him, and then now we're set forever.
Then you're set forever. Yeah.
Forever.
But as you were in a great spot, because there weren't a lot of receiver needy teams ahead of you. I think there was only 1 or 2 maybe that you thought maybe would consider it. Who knows what's going to happen with trades? But the Williams injury is a big one for the depth of that position at the top end.
Yeah, and I think it's now. I talked about this pregame Sunday. I mean, you look at the top 10 free agent signings at receiver this past offseason. It's just one bad decision after another. So leading off with Kenny Golladay at $18 million. On the Giants, and it's just like
did nothing.
That just makes you. It's almost like, is wide receiver, with the way these passing offenses are in college, is this the new running back in terms of how you reload at that position that way? I mean, clearly there's been some great free agent. I don't know if there has been at wide receivers, but you obviously re-sign guys like Jarvis was technically a re-sign because we acquired him in a trade. But
it's interesting.
It's
like
a position.
Free agent receivers.
The free agent receivers were just. It was maybe this is a bad year, but this is an exceptionally bad year for free agent receivers. It looks like you can go into the draft and get these guys, and maybe not. They're maybe not going to be plug and play the way these top 3 guys were this past year with how great those 3 played. But I mean, you can plug some guys in and get some production right away.
Like Allen Robinson, they'd be very happy with what he gave them in Chicago prior to this season when it just fell off of a complete cliff. And who knows why or how that happened, but he was dreadful. But, I mean, he was really good for a while. But, yeah, free agent receivers, it's always been kind of a dicey thing. Remember when Hushmanzada went to Seattle? You know, it is hit and miss.
I also think that the best offensive athletes now in college football are playing receiver.
Yeah.
And so more so than any other position because it's career longevity, there's more passing than ever, all of those things. And so you're getting – I mean, the idea that Ohio State is going to had 3 first-round receivers on their roster at this time a year ago that are going to all – because I think Williams will go at the end of the first round. I think he will. Yeah. And then Olave's for sure a first-rounder and 5 is a first-rounder. So you have 3 on one roster. Alabama had 3 first-rounders last year. They had like 6 in the last 2 years in the first round, did they? When you they had 3 last year.
They had a
Waddle
chance this
and
year.
Ruggs and
is Mechie coming? Is he available this year?
Well, yeah. I mean, he blew out his he did his knee too.
Yeah.
Both their guys went down on turf after all season on grass.
So if you were to look at the leading receivers in the NFL, Cooper Kupp drafted by the Rams, Jefferson first round drafted by the Rams, Adams drafted by the Packers, Chase drafted by the Bengals, Deebo Samuel drafted by the Niners, Mark Andrews tight end drafted by the Ravens, Hill drafted by the Chiefs, Stephon Diggs trade. Tyler Lockett drafted by the Seahawks, Deontay Johnson drafted by the Steelers, DJ Moore drafted by the Panthers, Mike Williams drafted by the Chargers, Keenan Allen drafted by the Chargers, Kelsey drafted by the Chiefs, Godwin drafted by the Bucks, CeeDee Lamb drafted by the Cowboys, T. Higgins drafted by the Bengals, Pittman drafted by the Colts, Darnell Mooney, I don't know if he was drafted or not off the top of my head, but spent his entire career with the Bears, McLaurin drafted by the football team, Renfro drafted by the Raiders. Then you get to Brandon Cooks, who's been great, and he's a guy who's a free agent or a trade guy, but he's been great everywhere he's gone. He's the one guy, if you signed him in free agency, I would be okay with. He just always produces. That's what he does. Mike Evans, by the way, drafted by his team, the Bucks. Kyle Pitts drafted by the Falcons, and Jalen Waddle drafted by the Dolphins. That is the entire first page of the NFL.com leaders in receiving yards this year. So we had one trade, Diggs, right, and Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, who's bounced around.
That's it.
Yeah. And has Cooks ever truly hit free agency? Or does he just keep getting traded?
Feels like he gets traded. I don't know if he ever did. He ever? Maybe the Rams. Did he ever? Or was that a trade that got him to the Rams? Yeah.
Yes. Did he get traded to the Texans, or did he sign with the Texans?
I can't recall. He's played for so many teams for a guy who's produced everywhere. He was with the Saints. He's been
Yeah. Here's what's crazy about Cooks, which is why of all the people that I would say, Cooks feels like he would be a pretty decent one. Is you look at his last few years. 2015-16 Saints, both over 1,000. 17 Patriots over 1,000. 18 Rams, 1,200. 19 with the Rams, down year, 580. Then he goes to the Texans and has back-to-back 1,000-yard season. So he's at a 1,000-yard season with 4 different teams in the last 6 years. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, that is. Him and a pick.
Yeah.
Like that's probably what you're looking at when you think
But
about
I believe he is a pending free agent because I saw a thing from the Texans saying, are you coming back? So I'll let he's the only free agent I think at this point, unless you found out that Allen Robinson still had it. But I think what we need is speed, and this guy flat out can still get it done down the field.
Yeah, absolutely so. Gribbs, what's next for you from a news standpoint as we move along here, as we're in off-season mode?
This is a little bit of the while the NFL's still going into the playoffs, that's where things scale back a little bit for the teams that aren't in the playoffs, but it gets ramped up, I think, by the end of the month. I mean, this is a big Senior Bowl, you got 5 guys in the Pro Bowl for the Browns we'll keep tabs on, and then Combine is right around the corner. I mean, the off-season, there's no real breathing in the NFL. I mean, this is maybe the closest thing to it, and I think we would have preferred the latter. We would have preferred we were still going and still producing content that way. But no, been here before, and it's just this is maybe one of the slower parts of the content calendar.
All right, good stuff. Good talking to you as always, buddy.
No problem.
Thanks. Our good buddy Surandra Gribble joining us, senior staff writer.
That just flew by an hour.
Did. Well, and then you got the legend coming up next, Bernie Kosar coming up at the top of the hour. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. For a team of injury lawyers dedicated to every client every day, call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Elk & Elk's a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. And with that, we head out on the hotline for a visit for our great friend, the legend, Bernie Kosar, joining us on the hotline. Bernie, how you doing, buddy, on this fine Wednesday?
Well, I'm doing good, Bo. Nathan, Gibby, trying to stay warm here in balmy Ohio today.
It is. Plenty. It is today. At least it's in the 40s. I mean, we're approaching 40s. We'll take it. Hey, pal, how did you – when you were coming off a season that was disappointing and it was your side of the ball, and which probably didn't happen much in your career, but your side of the ball that provided the disappointment that didn't live up to what you thought it would be, how did you attack the offseason? When did your clock start? How did you approach it? How did you work about getting better with your unit on your side of the ball?
That's a really good question, Bo, and a great spot probably to start. Really kind of 2 points within that. One is the first statement of, and it's almost regurgitation back of what Andrew Berry said yesterday about anytime a team doesn't reach its goals, you want to assess what happened, reassess it, and try to rectify what happened to not make you reach your goals. So fortunately, when I was playing, and I've used this phrase a lot, you never wanted to be it. Eric Mangini, Bill Belichick, they used to use that phrase a lot. You don't want to be it. You don't want to be the reason for your team's lack of success, whether it's a person or an offensive group and stuff. And I don't think it's that drastic now, although offensively, absolutely, the attention's focused on our offense and how we could get that up to the caliber we want. And bluntly, I didn't have a ton of experience with it, but I did have experience, and I did have experience, unfortunately, with not reaching your goal, which every year your goal was the Super Bowl. And I love how we talk about it with the Browns, and it's the way Marty Schottenheimer used to talk about it, and he coached me up on this too, is your number one goal is to win your division and then get yourself into the dance to get a shot at winning the Super Bowl. If you don't reach that goal, you really have to reassess and look deep into the mirror as to why that happened. And that always starts with yourself. And you want to look at yourself, whether you were the reason or you weren't the reason, the ability of yourself, first and foremost, to look in the mirror and get ready and get better was something that I really looked at. And that, I don't want to seem like you don't have a life, and there is a physical healing point that has to happen. But also, too, I actually think mentally, when you don't reach your goals and you want to kind of prove and get back to where you believe you could be and should be, you almost mentally don't even check out. And I would mentally already be preparing, understanding my timeline for workouts, for mentally preparation, some of the different drills that you need to do to make sure that this sick feeling that we have today of going to be watching Super Wild Card Weekend and not participating in it doesn't materialize again next year at the start of 2023.
Bernie, let's go with our quarterback, Baker Mayfield, looking to improve, obviously, and get back to the form that we saw in the second half of that 2020 season. We know that he's going to be coming off of that shoulder surgery. So from a mental standpoint, what can quarterbacks do in the offseason? Is it breaking down film, going through your core concept? What do you do mentally to try to get better at dealing with what defenses are trying to disguise in terms of their coverages that you face as a quarterback?
Yeah, that's a great point. And, you heard it a little bit through the course of just being a football junkie, if you listen and follow some of the quarterbacks and guys like Peyton Manning. And one of the things I used to do when I was at the end of my career, and Peyton did this, or at the end of the season, and Peyton did this regularly at the end of his football season, we all want to talk about the great things that we've done in life, that we've done during the year. That's typically stuff that you understand or remember. I used to love, and Peyton talked about the other night, about cutting up all of your bad plays, all of your negative plays, all of your missed opportunities, all the things that you think and should be working on and getting better. That was almost one of the first things that you broke down in the offseason. you super analyzed it, and you took a punishingly painful look at yourself in the mirror, because you're looking at a 17-game, 18-week season where you played in a good majority of those games. Any of us quarterbacks, any of us players are going to have our fair share of punishingly plays to look at, and to just dive in as hard as that is, to dive in with a real critical eye, not with an excuse eye, that critical eye as to how what I'm doing wrong, and mechanically, given some of those injuries, 2 years ago when we're playing in the playoffs, we're dominant in December and January. So Baker was healthy that year, so working on that mechanics, getting himself healthy and understanding that, he's been there and done that. I think that'll help derive some of the confidence and belief in himself in the off season that you want to have going into next football season.
Bernie, you mentioned mechanics, and there's been much has been made about, mechanics at the position and how important it is to be, have your body in alignment with where you are trying to throw the football to be able to throw it accurately, consistently. How hard is it as a quarterback to maybe change some of those bad habits in one off season? How do you drill that, and then how do you make sure that you're able to carry that through when, guys are actually coming and trying to hit you, not just you standing back there doing it, out on a field with nobody coming to knock your block off?
Yeah, that's a really phenomenally great question, Nathan. And again, I'm absolutely, for the younger listeners out there and for the football junkies out there, I am absolutely not being critical and criticizing Baker or any quarterback's mechanics, given how unorthodox and poor my mechanics were. And the mechanical side of it is, it's one thing to change in the off season, and it's one thing to change in practice. But in the heat of battle, under the game fire live atmosphere that you get in an NFL game, unfortunately, as quarterbacks only really get that on game day. So the off season, it's hard to really get that intensity, that bluntly, that fear of death that a defensive lineman's going to decapitate you, to be able to see how your mechanics holds up under pressure. Heck, almost like a golfer trying to win a major on the 18th hole with everybody. How does your swing hold up under the pressure? Very similar. How does your change in mechanics hold up? I struggled immensely at that. It's partly why I spend so much time in the hospital now, and I get so many surgeries. I absolutely recommend for the younger quarterbacks out there to absolutely fine-tune and work on the mechanical side of it, so that it becomes almost second nature to you in the course of the off season, so that you're not putting your body / your team / the football at risk when you're out of position. And I had a hard time being able to adjust that, so I had some coaches to let me go with it, and I was able to develop a accurate, consistent way of throwing without good mechanics. But I absolutely don't recommend that. One, physically, it takes a beating on your body. My body did start breaking down. We see Bake now finishing his 4th year, getting some injuries. You don't want to keep exposing your body to some of those, because it makes it more challenging to be consistent. So working on that in the off season. And then I absolutely think there are some routes, some pass routes in that intermediate 16 to 22-yard area where we were really void of successful, consistent plays this year. I really believe there's routes you could throw off of that in the off season with rhythmic timing on a 5-step drop that actually kind of helps you to kind of get into rhythm and get confidence and develop a route and develop a concept in that intermediate part of the field, other than just the middle read seams versus 2 deep, 5 under coverage, an ability to kind of attack that 16 to 22-yard area in the slot, middle of the field with rhythmic throws. There are some routes like that I absolutely would try to incorporate into our game that will probably I think maybe open up some of the field for us, but it also gives us quarterbacks a good rhythm, a good timing, a good foundation to hit that fifth step, plant, get your body in perfect mechanics and alignment, and throw your shoulders and arms in that direction. That type of routine, that type of practice, that type of confidence within a play and a concept is absolutely things I'd be working on to kind of broaden my game so we don't really have a reoccurrence of this past season.
Bernie, I know you got to run. I'll get you out of here on this one. You said in the previous answer you were talking about doing the self scout and looking in the mirror. That's a tough thing, to be honest with yourself, and to admit your own shortcomings. Sometimes you can do it. Sometimes you need help. Did you have people who you were so great all the time, but were there people in your life that would speak truth to you even if it was painful? And did you rely on those people?
Great. Both phenomenal point is yes, and Bake has a closeness you could see with some of the guys and coaches. Probably you could probably see with Alex Van Pelt. You see with Case Keenum, the brotherhood that those two had for each other, covering and the way they talked about each other leading up to the Bengals game. I had Gary Danielson, so to have somebody who's been there, done that, and is able to talk to you from just a mature, respectful standpoint, who's been there and done that, and has been under the heat of fire. And again, I'm not trying to say this to be morbid or to get anybody in trouble, but the quarterback, especially in the old day, and you could see the way some of the hits are coming, and you have that threat of death, that threat of getting decapitated, the threat of getting blindsided, and you've been there with a guy who's been there and done that. Gary was the kind of that sounding board for me, and that person is, you would sit there, cut up the plays, and say, you just can't do that. You're not going to be a successful pro. You're not going to win. And God, that type of wisdom, advice. It's painful.
Yeah.
Absolutely not fun. It will not make going for doing rehab in the month of February fun, but for your growth. And for this feeling not to materialize, I absolutely think that's something we should look into.
Buddy, I can't thank you enough. We can't thank you enough for the wisdom you provide to us every single week. Thanks, pal. Appreciate you.
I'm here anytime. You matter. Go Browns.
The great Bernie Kosar. A lot of good stuff there. And
yes,
when he was going through when he was talking about that, it's the hardest thing you can do, anybody can do, is be honest with themselves. And yet it is critical that you have people that you can rely upon that say, hey, dude, you sucked. This sucked. So let's get this sorted out, and truth tellers in your life. And Gary Danielson, that was great. I mean, he's been the voice of the SEC on CBS for all these years as an analyst, and of course was a player, and really good insight from Bernie on that stuff in terms of the way he approached it. Rumpke Waste Recycling, family owned and operated. Whether you join them as a customer or employee, you'll be part of the family. Visit rumpke.com to learn more on that front. We have an executive of the year from Pro Football Talk. We've also got a little better or worse, higher or lower coming up. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Now the weather is cold outside. Would a nice hot bath or shower feel amazing? Why not transform your bathroom into a custom bath that'll feel like a spa? Let the Bath Authority make this a reality for you at a fraction of the cost of the competitors. The Bath Authority is Cleveland's premier bath and shower remodeler with expert factory-trained installers. Call now for $500 off your next custom bath and shower remodel. Give them a call today, 216-220-8399, or go to thebathauthority.com, where affordability meets quality. Largest selection of bath projects, all made in the United States. Change your bathroom from outdated to outstanding. Acrylic tubs that insulate, keep the heat in, to the tub and shower conversions. They're all there. Superior Products expert installers. You know a little hack that's fun that I like to do in the shower, especially in the winter? I got a little eucalyptus spray.
Oh.
Like to get a little of that on there. Get
like
that
a
thing.
Steam.
Oh, yeah. Get the nice steam.
Sure.
Little eucalyptus.
Yeah. It's a nice smell. Native to where you grew up in the Bay Area. There's a
like
eucalyptus
Bud
that
Lights
came
in the
over
shower.
from
Bud Light in the shower?
Yeah.
Shower beers? You're a shower beer guy?
You know what? I wasn't at first. Then my wife did it one time. And I was like, what are you doing?
She's so versatile.
She's like,
Mrs. Gibby is so
drinking
versatile.
beers in the shower.
Wow.
And I was like,
Will
the
you
fact
marry
that
me?
I'm surprised. Like, where isn't
We
Gibby?
got a pregame.
Where
I'm
isn't
like,
Gibby
all right.
good with a beer?
Was that the moment where you got on one knee and will you marry me? At that moment when she opens
that is definitely like
It didn't hurt.
reason number
Yes.
8,000 why
Yeah.
I love my wife.
Mrs.
Wow.
Gibby drops the shower beer and exposes you to that,
Sure.
At
You're
first
for
it was
me.
weird. I'm like, I don't
You're
want
for
soap
me.
in there or anything, but you keep it up high, you're good. You safe.
you gotta have like a caddy or something.
Yep, exactly. That's what I have.
Yeah, little beer caddy there. Yeah, I think you're not a big beer guy though, right, Z?
No.
Even in watching Yellowstone, you ever crave a Yellow Jacket?
No.
Crack open a Coors?
Sad.
No.
Very
I'll
sad.
have bourbon though while I watch Yellowstone.
Well, those would be the two that they have.
So that's fine with me.
Yeah.
But I do like I do go that route. The little eucalyptus,
Yeah, isn't that
a
nice?
little menthol, a little something. It just
clears
kinda
it up,
clear,
man.
Clear
Gives
the
you that-
passage.
Sure.
Yeah, I like that. That's
St.
good.
Elmo's cocktail sauce will do that for you too. Have some of
So
that.
you see,
put some of that in the
so they
shower.
were at the national champ. All right, and we'll be back over there. What, in March? We're going back over there. It's still in Indy as of now, or is it
Still
for
in
sure?
Indy. I
For
think
one more year?
I would assume the way they threw the party this weekend that they're open for business.
I would say, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to get to that because I saw the one of the things they had in the media for the national championship game was just mountains of St. Elmo's. They did this for the Super Bowl. Did you guys go to the Super Bowl over there?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I was at that one. In
Were
Indy.
you?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. As media or as fan?
Fan.
Okay, so as media, the St. Elmo's shrimp was everywhere. Like everywhere you went, there were just stations of the St. Elmo shrimp. So this would be this. You like? I'm curious what you guys think of this. And of course, we know that I almost died from this. You witnessed it. In the end, it's just a shrimp cocktail.
I don't know if it's just a shrimp cocktail
With a lot of horseradish. It's a high quality shrimp. But if you went to any steakhouse and ordered shrimp cocktail, it would be. It's not like it's
But it's
demonstratively
unique.
better.
It's
why? Just because it's hotter.
Because of the sauce.
Just because there's more horseradish in the sauce.
Yeah.
Because that's all it is. It's
100%.
That's it. It's just more. It's just.
I
hotter.
love it. I mean, at my house they sell it. That is the only
agree.
cocktail sauce I have in my house.
I love the sauce too, but I also love a shrimp cocktail. I think it's a
Same.
fantastic.
It's delightful.
It's perfect. It's everything you want
Nice.
before a steak.
Especially it's a U5 shrimp. Oh,
But for the
love a good
press
U5.
of it,
it's
and all
because
the
it's
talk,
unique. Because
it's
everybody,
so hot.
Everybody has a shrimp cocktail. Every place that you go has a shrimp
But there's
cocktail.
my
theirs
guess.
is
My
unique.
point is, it's not unique. It's just really hot.
If
That's
you go
what
to
makes it
Harry's
unique.
right around the corner, it's the same.
Yeah, but it's the same
cocktail.
people.
Right.
It's
same.
also
same
in
spot.
Indy.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you order a shrimp cocktail at any steakhouse in town, and you say, I like the sauce, because they're going to make it all from scratch too. All of it's just ketchup and horseradish. So if they just made it really hot, it would have the same. It'd be the exact same thing.
I feel like you're throwing a little bit of shade.
Maybe because I almost died.
I feel like there's some bitterness near.
I just think their steaks are better than the shrimp cocktail. It's all really good.
It's all really good. The cocktail sauce
I
is
love
what
that
makes
place.
it unique. It makes it unique amongst.
I think
steakhouses.
they've marketed the heck out of it.
And done a good job.
And they've done a great job. And I'm with you. I like a hot cocktail sauce. I don't like nuclear, which is what I had that day.
You did.
There was a pressure
It was
behind my
amazing.
eyeballs
Oh yeah.
from it that
That
I
was
have
almost
never
like,
felt
That was
before.
almost like W right there. A nuclear.
It was. I thought I was
thought you were
down.
done.
I thght I was down for the count. I
mean,
didn't
you
think I
were.
was
You're
going to die.
silent.
I did not think I was going to die.
You were giving
but I
us
thought
symbols
that
of like I'm
But
under duress.
But I thought that there was a chance that I would black out.
Tears were coming out of your eyes.
No question. I couldn't get my balance, and it was lost for the rest of the day.
And then we had to go to just get sushi after that. Our sushi lunches, our little sushi lunch dates.
Oh yeah,
me and you at
that was
sushi
wonderful.
Bars. Great. I hope to do it again.
Yeah, it was right down the road. That worked out nicely.
Yeah, that noodle place is that noodle place still there?
No,
or gone?
it's gone. It was gone like in 2020. Sad.
Yeah,
it was like a Chipotle but pasta. It's great. Good idea.
I'll be curious to see what it's like, what the combine's like, if we all go
if
back
we go,
and everything happens. Like I'm curious to see like how the I'll be honest with you, I'd be shocked if we do. I'd be shocked if we're near anybody if we go. And to me, with everything that's going to happen in the next month from a NFL standpoint, the last thing they want is to be like some sort of COVID hotspot.
When you right. When you think about the fact that like we haven't even been able to be around anybody in our own building, the notion that then everybody from around the country is going to go get together. It just seems so – it would be stunning to me if all of a sudden media, which has been virtual this entire season, and, we're good now. And maybe we will be. Maybe it'll be fine. I mean, I'd love to go back. It's one of my favorite trips of the year.
Yeah, I agree.
But I would be – the notion of like the Radio Row setup that we do where people walk from booth to booth to booth and sit down and do interviews and pick up headsets that were just picked up by over and over. Like I don't understand how that happens.
I don't think it would either, just from an NFL standpoint.
But it hasn't been said that it's not happening yet.
I was going to say.
Well, they haven't had to, though. I mean, they don't have. There's nothing that's making them do it. It's not like it takes a lot of planning and from a media standpoint.
Get plane tickets and
Well, I think the coverage
hotels.
would be would be so minimal compared to normal anyway. I mean, this was the last thing we did.
Yeah.
Before the pandemic was this.
Yes.
Like we went to the Combine, then you went to Puerto Vallarta, right?
Yeah.
And then pandemic.
That's right.
The end. Like that's it. That was
the
the last
NBA
thing
shut down the night that I returned.
Right.
As I was driving home from the airport from Mexico.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, it's going to be different. Whatever it is, it's going to be different whether we're all there or not. Pro Football Talk's Executive of the Year, they go Bill Belichick on this front. I suppose for the Mac Jones, they made the playoffs.
You
think about
for his turnaround.
Yeah,
I disagree with this one. I disagree with it.
Who
you got
would
to give to the Bengals? You got to give to the Browns. I mean, the fact that you think
the Bengals, you mean?
Yeah.
You said us.
But the Browns run the Bengals.
Oh,
the Brown family. Isn't Mike Brown technically the GM?
Yeah, his daughter is the one. Katie Blackshear, I believe, is the one who's really. Yeah, but yes, he does own the team.
So. The most controversial pick that was made all draft was Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase over Penei Sewell. Not taking a tackle. How could you just – well, Jamar Chase has changed the dang game. Mm-hmm. So they get it. There it is.
Yeah, I was trying to think who else, would be in the mix. And they're a year ahead of schedule. Yeah, I think it probably – I mean, everybody else was kind of where you thought they would be. You could say Rams because of Stafford – and swinging that deal. But, they're 12-5. What would they have been with Goff? 10-7, 9-8 maybe. So I guess that's worth it. 3 games. But I mean that their bread will be buttered as they get into the postseason. They need to make a run. They got to make a little run in the next couple of years.
And there were multiple losses where you're like, Matt, really?
Yeah. Well, they won despite him several times down the stretch where you throw 3 picks and Philly's in pretty good shape. They're 9-8. Don't they have 3 1s this year? I think they have 3 first-round picks because they got the one from Wentz.
But isn't
they
because
had one
they
of their
missed
own.
The playoffs? Doesn't that become a 2?
No, it's a 1.
It is a 1.
It's a 1. The Wentz pick is a 1. So I think they have 3 1s. I think it's not a great draft, but I think Philly has 3 1s this year.
Philly has. Well, I'm not seeing them. I think unless they're in the back, they're at 15. They're at 16. They're at, and then they have whatever pick they end up when they get eliminated. They'll figure out.
So they have 3.
They have 3 first.
That's what I thought. I think they have 3 in the top. They'll have like 3 in the top 20.
15,
but it'll
16,
be 15,
and
16.
If they lose,
yeah,
they should be.
Think about that. I mean, and they went 9-8, and they took Jalen Hurts. When people are like, wait, what? You have Wentz. Why would you take Hurts? And he's been really good. 2 years in a row. Hired Howie did a nice job over there.
Yeah.
I think you have the correct answer. But I think that, when you think of other people who did a good job, I think he's on that list.
I mean, the Jets have a number 4 and number 10.
Yeah. Miami's
don't
got
need
a
a
couple,
quarterback.
don't they?
What's that?
Well, there aren't any quarterbacks. I mean, there's no quarterback. What are you going to take? The kid from Liberty? Like, there's the kid from Pitt's okay, but I don't know. I mean, Burrow's not walking through the door. Burrow and Herbert aren't walking through the door. There aren't those type of guys.
Yeah.
Do you love the Browns gain exclusive team access with the NFL Extra Points credit card for special ticket financing? 20% off at NFLshop.com. Rewards like player meet and greets and signed memorabilia. Apply today at NFLExtraPoints.com. Get started with 10,000 bonus points after qualifying purchases. It's enough to redeem for a $100 statement credit. To learn more, visit NFLExtraPoints.com. Offer subject to credit approval. See application terms and conditions for complete details on that. We do a little better or worse coming up next. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
ESPN, your Highland.
Football isn't football without friends. Watching the Browns alone means no one's going to hear your amazing in-game analysis. Same is true in gambling. Keep things social. Never gamble alone. It's just one of the helpful, responsible gambling tips. You'll find it at keepitfunohio.com. Time for a little higher or lower presented by Ohio Lottery. Better or worse? Hello, Gibby.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Real well.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Instead of actually going through the final power rankings of the year, I felt like we should put together our own power rankings.
I've done it.
Oh, my gosh.
Fired up.
I didn't realize there was homework.
No. It's okay.
Hold on.
I didn't want you. I wanted to do it on the show. Like, I don't think everybody should come up with their own list.
Okay.
But we
I did I've got a list.
Well, there's a shocking development.
Overachiever.
Look at Scarlett. First time I've seen him maskless.
He's untucked today.
He looks happy.
Untucked,
I said-
no mask.
I walked
Rare.
by him. I said, hey, dress down day? And he was insulted.
He had looked like he was forlorn for a few days, so it's nice to see him upbeat.
Forlorn was the correct word. There was a lot in his face.
Yeah.
Carrying a lot of
Carrying
emotion.
some pain.
Yeah.
A lot of pain behind those eyes, Kunu.
All right, so I wanted to come up with our own power rankings
Okay.
for the playoff teams this year.
Okay.
So doesn't that mean we have to do that?
Well, I figure we
He
would
wants
just
to do
go
it live.
through it.
He wants to do it live. I'll write it. We'll do it live.
We'll do it live.
Yeah, why not?
I'm in.
So we
Okay.
want to go from 14 to number 1.
So you're saying we have to come up with a consensus.
So who's the
Yes.
worst playoff team? Should we do worst or least likely to advance? Is that the
Just
same?
Rank them. Same. We'll just rank them.
Well, Pittsburgh's 14.
That's right.
That's a
That's on
consensus,
mine.
right?
Consensus.
Not Philly?
No.
I have them 13. State of
Yeah.
Pennsylvania, not likely to bring home a Super Bowl this year.
Thanks, kid. Those. By the way, I now know that every time until I met him this summer, I had no idea that every time you did that, you were doing the kid.
That's a kid.
You've done that for years, and
Oh,
I
yeah.
just thought it was a character and a voice, kind of like, oh boy, like I
Yeah.
thought it was just one of those. But no,
It's the kid.
You took it from it's the kid.
I mean, that's how he operates.
That's how he talks.
That's how he lips.
Yeah, his operation. Yeah. Philly.
he's a friend of mine.
Philly's 13.
That's right.
So who's number 12?
Vegas.
Same. See, we don't even do it. We don't even need to do this.
Well, that's why I figured I wouldn't have you do separate lists because they ultimately end up being the
hard.
same.
Well, we're doing it live.
Beating with
And it's so far
one mind.
So far, same.
Is that even how that song goes?
I
It
You have
feels
a
like
number
it.
5 seed going home early.
Yes.
I do.
Number 11.
Pats.
You are
I-
such a homer.
I would go. I think there's two ways you can go here. So New
Why am I
England,
a homer?
I considered two teams for this spot. I considered New England and I considered Arizona for this
Same.
spot. Those are the two that I
So
considered.
why am I a homer now?
Because you're 49ers.
No, they're higher.
He wasn't
How
even
far up can I
considered.
Put him up the food chain.
Mine's going to get controversial.
So wait,
Yeah.
are we doing Patriots then?
Yeah, I think.
And I had
and I
Arizona
have
right
Ari-
after them.
I was between Arizona, New England, 10-11. So
Same.
That's fine.
All right, so Patriots 11, Arizona number 10.
That's what we've got.
Yeah.
All right. I want to tweet
This is-
out to the folks later.
All right. So then 9.
This is going to shock. Mine's going to shock some people here.
Can I say mine first?
Sure.
Dallas.
Tennessee.
Okay. That is
Which one you want to go with?
the number 1 seed. It just seems.
I know, but do you think?
Are you saying wait? If you're saying Dallas, I think you got to put Dallas 9 because Tennessee doesn't play for a week.
Yeah. I mean, do you have Dallas close to that?
I have.
You have to have them
Dallas
close.
7.
Okay. So we're
I'm fine with
close
it.
on that.
I'm fine with it. All right, so then Dallas here.
Putting Dallas 9th, a team that could go to the Super Bowl.
Well, any of these teams could go to the Super Bowl. The matchup isn't particularly great for them playing the 49ers.
I think it starts at 9 of teams that could go to the Super Bowl.
I don't have a
I
problem
think
with
the
that.
other 5.
It's weird with
Yeah.
Arizona because, there is the Kyler part of it. They've just been so disjointed, and they're whipped at home by Seattle. Yeah, I don't like it.
Hopkins, Watts, Bang. I don't. Yeah. All right, so I'm fine with Dallas 9. I had them, like I said, 7, but I'm fine with it. Okay. 8. I have Tennessee then. I'm going to keep saying Tennessee until we get there.
To me, they're the biggest. They could be 8-9, or they could go. I mean, what's Derrick Henry going to look like? It's so
I don't
hard
know.
because we haven't seen him.
We've seen peak Derrick Henry, and they haven't even gotten to the AFC Championship or the Super Bowl. They haven't gotten to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but they've gotten to an AFC Championship.
They
This is
did,
the first
they
time
lost.
they've been the one.
Yeah.
They would get Cincinnati if Cincinnati beats the Raiders.
Yeah,
I'm not crazy about the Rams vibe either,
Oh,
but their ceiling is really high. But it's kind of a weird.
Stafford's healthy now. I expect
now. All right, you fine with Tennessee there or no?
Well, I almost would rather re-engineer this from top to bottom because then I can get to where I need to get to.
So you want to just jump to
well,
one?
I just want to, as you're talking, I just want to fill this out, kind of in my head how I see this thing going.
Okay. All right, he's writing lots of fun things here, folks.
Now, I will say this.
I mean, I could do Tennessee at 8. I don't have a problem with it.
All right, Tennessee's at 8.
Because right now I think it sets up very, very well for Cincinnati to go to the AFC Championship game.
All right.
So
7?
I have no problem with that.
7?
7 is probably...
It's got to be the 49ers.
I've got Buffalo. I have Buffalo.
I would probably go Niners here.
Thank
You have Niners 6?
Thank you
Right.
for the
I mean,
voice of reason.
I just wrote them down quickly, but like Niners, Bengals, Bills.
I have Bills 7, Niners 6, Bengals 5.
Such
Yeah.
a homer.
Why
And
does
then-
that make
then
me a
Rams
homer,
are in
dude?
there.
Nobody wants to play the Niners. Trust me, Gibbe.
Okay.
Just the
Dallas.
Bengals, 49ers, Rams, Buffalo to me, like that group. Rams
And I
have the
them all
highest
4
ceiling.
together, right? And I rank them. I go Rams 4, Bengals 5, Niners 6, Buffalo 7, Tennessee 8, Dallas 9, Arizona 10, New England 11, Vegas 12, Philly 13, Pitt 14, and then my top 3 are Green Bay. If we're going 1, 2, 3, Green Bay, Kansas City, Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
is my
I
1,
have the
2, 3.
same 3 in that order at the top.
So only
And then Buffalo, Rams, 49ers, Bengals, Tennessee, Dallas would be the next group.
yeah.
And I agree with Gibby's point that I mean, Dallas,
If Arizona
they could
had
get hot,
Hopkins,
of course.
I would put Arizona right up there with
I
them,
don't know.
but
There's
I think
something
Arizona's
wonky
too
about that.
flaky.
What about what you say about their coach?
And their coach can't win a game in the fourth quarter.
Well, then there you go.
That's why I don't have him.
I don't think Arizona, New England,
Something's-
Vegas, Philly, or Pittsburgh can win the Super Bowl.
I don't
just
trust
don't believe
McCarthy in Dallas.
No.
I mean, you saw what he got off the plane in. That's a lot of camel, man.
I didn't see it.
You didn't see it?
No.
Google it, because I want to see your reaction when you see it. Put Mike McCarthy, they played in Philly. Mike McCarthy, Philly plane outfit. That's probably what's needed. Come on.
We'll have to find it.
Oh.
That didn't produce it. Is it off the plane?
Yeah.
It's riveting.
This is great. Yeah.
Well, there are 3 of us. Like, while I was Googling, someone else could have helped.
yeah, you could have said something, Gibbe.
What do you want to talk about? How Zegura keeps overrating the 49ers?
How about, why don't we talk about the only person whose take was wrong as it relates to the 49ers was you. You could say that I properly rated
that
them.
take was a poor choice.
I properly
It
rated
did not
them.
age
This
well.
is where I need a mirror. How can I have a war of words with Gibbe and I can't even look at him?
Turn around, young man. Don't you look at me.
Let me tell you something. You were wrong about the Niners.
And
You've
I
admitted it
admitted
as
it.
such, but I'm not. How can you say that I'm wrong about them?
I think you are overrating the 49ers.
For the crying out loud.
Bo grew up there. It means a lot to him. His father made him watch Spumoni and the Niners.
That's right.
And
Okay,
I'm
here you go.
into it.
Spumoni.
I mean,
Huh?
look at this.
How do you watch
think you
Spumoni?
eat
Look at
Spumoni.
this.
No, you made him watch him eat Spumoni.
Look.
Oh, you didn't say that right.
Mike McCarthy.
Oh, boy. No,
That's a lot of camel.
That looks
Am I
like
wrong?
he's getting ready for the desert campaign under Rommel.
That's a dynamite reference out of you. That is a lot of. So that's a newsboy hat. That's a cashmere scarf.
Oh,
That's a car coat, all camel
All camel.
with a black face mask.
'Cause
That
he's-
looks like something that I could see like even Tony Soprano wouldn't try to wear that.
So what I think
It's
is
so
what he's saying
ambitious.
is
It's so much camel.
camel now. When you hear camel, I don't think you know that it's even associated with the animal as much as it is at least the cigarettes, if they're even around. Are those even around?
I
Joe
assume
Camel?
so. I assume so.
So maybe I think he was saying we're going to go in there, we're going to smoke them, and guess what? They put up 51 that week.
It's so aggressively monotone. Monochrome.
This is what I think he's
not
saying.
monotone.
Look,
monochrome.
the Cowboys, we have 38 blues going on. I'm just coming one color. Keep it simple.
It's one of my great takes. One of my great
28.
observations was the amount of blues in the Cowboys' home uniform.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing those pants haven't been updated to reflect the times, like that they're not just silver pants now.
It's beautiful that they haven't.
I agree. I like it. I'm saying, but it's amazing that somebody said, hey, now we could do this.
Yeah, for the kids, there are 3 shades of blue on the Cowboys' home uniform. There's a royal blue, a navy blue, and
America's
the star.
team.
Right. So they have the royal blue in the numbers, are royal blue. There's navy blue in the star. There's the aqua blue silver that their pants are. Then they also have silver and white. So it's really it's 5 different shades in the home uniform.
You know
I think
what?
there might be black trim too.
I've got another take on this McCarthy outfit. How would you not get somebody to procure you a camel-colored mask?
What I think was funny is like the idea of if somebody gave him a camel-colored mask, he's like, no, that's too much. You know?
That's over the top.
Like we've done all of this.
That would be a curb scene.
That's too much. I can't wear that much camel. But give me the scarf.
Yeah,
Give me the scarf. I like the scarf.
And the hat.
But Mike, what about the mask? No, too much. I mean, it's a conscious decision to wear that much camel.
Yeah.
You're choosing. I mean, you're clearly seeking it out. That is not a color hat that's easily findable. It's not a scarf that's easily findable.
No.
So you're going out and procuring it. What I'm also curious about is what was the pant?
Camel.
Be unbelievable if it was.
Had to be.
The sneaker would have been probably too some sort of a
camel suede loafer, driving moccasin,
or one of those boots that Senior Swag wears around all the time.
McCarthy doesn't know anything about that.
I don't know that McCarthy picked this.
About that.
Like this isn't him either, right?
Is that Jerry's wife trying to get him to look nice?
I don't know.
How about just show some class?
Well, I think you could apply my Manning theory. You guys know my Manning theory that one clother in New Orleans outfits the entire family because they all look the same always. Maybe Jerry's got that same thing in Dallas. Like quarterback and coach.
Interesting to know what his other coaches are wearing. If
quarterbacks, coaches. Quarterbacks, coaches. You come to my tailor. We got 100 different shades of blue jackets and blue shirts and blue ties. And that's the way it is. I mean, you've seen some of those spectacular sport coats that Dak wears. Beautiful. It's all coming from the same place. I promise you.
So who are we putting number 7? 49ers or Buffalo?
The Niners are 6.
I have the Bengals 7.
Oh.
Kevin Costa says.
Remember, he disagreed with you yesterday, didn't he?
I've watched every Niners game this year. If anything, Z is underrating them. Now I've mastered this. Look at this.
I like what you're doing there.
In overtime just to get in the playoffs, Kevin. So I love you, but maybe you need to go back and rewatch some 49er games.
You know who they've beaten in close games due to clutch meter so far this year?
Who?
Rams.
Who'd they lose to?
Bengals. They outdueled Joe Burrow and the Bengals in Cincinnati.
So did we.
It was a big win.
Well, we just smushed them.
Yeah.
And yet.
Yeah, but you can be the tiebreaker, however you want to do it. Well, I don't have a real strong opinion on 7 through 4. Like you can,
sir. There's
He's not allowed to comment on the Niners. His Niners takes have been invalidated.
49ers, Bengals, or
Bills.
That's good, Mike. It's great. He's doing the tiebreaker.
Bills, 49ers, Bengals. Yeah. Who's the worst of those three?
This is great. Great radio here from the Huge B. What radio you're producing right now. Bravo. And I like how you and I both just were like, we're laying out. This is what you want to do. This is what you're doing. You want to do this? You want to go down that road? Go ahead.
Go right ahead.
He said Bengals.
Okay.
Bengals at 7.
Packers, Chiefs,
So he thinks the Niners are better than the Bengals.
He does.
Packers, Chiefs, Bucks are 1, 2, 3. Rams are 4. Bills are 5. Niners 6. Bengals 7. Somewhere in there.
Okay.
The top 3 is known. The top 3 is known, and then you can jumble 4 through 7 however you see fit.
And I still think 8 and 9, Tennessee and Dallas could get hot. And they could be playing for the right to go to the Super Bowl.
I still think
the talent to
that,
get hot.
that it's possible that hat and scarf combo was greater than $1,000 in price. That's my guess on the McCarthy hat scarf.
I feel
combo.
like the hat alone might be $1,000.
I bet the hat's around 500, 600. Scarf's probably $395. That's where I'm at.
Listen, you got to protect your neck.
Cashmere, Georgie Porgy.
Poor George. I mean, why would it? That's no gripe. It's a tiny dot. Who would even notice it? Who would gripe about that? And then he shouldn't have. He should have just played dumb.
Yeah.
Nobody ever would have known anything.
This is blasphemy.
Yeah, it's crazy. So much more to come. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. It is. Are you? You're in your Yellowstone rewatch. You doing? What are you going to indulge yourself tonight with?
Oh
a
yeah,
cocktail?
Yellowstone, no doubt. No doubt.
You go bourbon there. You go.
I still have a little bit of the apple pie left over. That's always
just a
like
touch?
just a touch,
That's
but
just-
it's like gold now. Like
Yeah.
30 seconds.
I don't want to just put it out there.
You're doing the right thing because you could always just make it again, but it's important that it's special.
It's got to be
once a year.
That's right.
That's it. That's the list.
That's it.
That's how you handle it. We're back tomorrow for more fun. The next level coming up next. Thanks for listening, everybody.